Hello everyone, welcome once again to Arrow Discussions. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
Steve, some folks were kind of irritated with us for being kind of mean to, Dan's waving, even though he's not really on the show, but he's like, he's like here with his microphone on because he doesn't watch Arrow, but like, he's here, he's just like, wait, anyway, people were kind of irritated with us last week, for being so hard on Arrow, so this week I've decided that we're gonna spice the show up, make it livelier and lighter, Steve, with jazz hands.
Okay.
So, whenever you say something, like, really, really mean or really sarcastic, I want you to do it with jazz hands, okay? All right, we're going to jump right into it. It's Canaries. A lot of people have been asking me how excited I am to see Katie Lotz come back, and I would be lying if I were to say that there wasn't a little bit, a twinge, if you will, of yay that we were going to get Katie Lotz back, but I was pretty sure how they were going to do it, and it was exactly what I thought, and it was, I don't know, it was hard to get too excited about it. It's still kind of a letdown because, she's still dead. I mean, not that they were going to bring her back from the dead, but since they brought Oliver back from totally not death, even though he totally should have died and we thought he was dead, then, I really wish that would happen, but, that's a pipe dream at this point, so anyway. All right, Steve, go ahead and give me your thoughts on this episode. Everybody brace yourselves and give us your best moment, your worst moment. Go ahead, Steve.
I feel like all that build-up is really anticlimactic, because I thought this was better than the last two episodes.
Okay, all right.
It was still really bad, but it was nowhere near as bad as Uprising and nowhere near as bad as Midnight City. The one thing immediately I will give it is up until the very last moment when Oliver decides to go off to Lian with Thea, up until that moment, Oliver is actually behaving rationally, and he's the only person. He's asking every single question that I've been asking the whole time.
Yeah.
Why are you being crazy? Why does no one making any kind of sense? Why is everything topsy-turvy when I come back? There's quite a bit of that with Laurel. There's quite a bit of that with Roy, especially because this is my worst moment of when Laurel's all knocked out in the Arrow Cave and Thea shows up. And then Oliver yells at her to go really quickly because it's an emergency situation. And then Roy, quote-unquote, defends her, which was just a really bad scene. And then immediately when she leaves, Oliver's line is, "What the hell was that about?"
Yeah.
I love that because at least Oliver, in some respects, is being sane. Where that falls off is we're doing with Oliver what we're doing with every other character of, by the end of the episode, for no good reason, he's suddenly okay with Laurel being Black Canary again.
Yeah, that's my big thing.
He doesn't deserve it. My best moment of this entire show right now, or this episode at least, is when Laurel gets beat up by both Detective Lance and Sarah hallucinations, saying she doesn't deserve to be Black Canary. Because it's true. Yeah. She doesn't. Last season, we had this really strange thing where she was an alcoholic and she was addicted to drugs and she was going down, quote-unquote, a dark path. And in that path, she started doing things that were a little bit morally ambiguous, and she, blackmailed the district attorney into getting her job back. And she was clearly headed down the wrong direction as far as what Sarah is as a hero and what she seems to be right now. So all that setup wasn't really working. I wasn't crazy about it, but it would have been interesting if they did something with it here and gave her a bit of a redemption story. They didn't. It's exactly what Oliver says. She's just out there to make herself feel better.
Yeah.
And there's no real character thing there. There's no heroics there. She's just being incredibly selfish. And even by the end of it, even if she proves herself capable, the intent, at least for Oliver's team, is what matters. And so for her intent to not work or to be so selfish, it doesn't follow. It doesn't work. She doesn't deserve to be Black Canary.
Steve, I'm sorry for interrupting your spiel, but since we're here, I got to ask you this question because I was hung up on this. Did we not, a couple episodes ago, while Oliver was still thought to be dead, have a thing where early on in the episode, Laurel is doing all this for the wrong reasons, and then she kind of has a light switch moment where she decides, okay, I've gotten over myself enough that I'm doing this for the right reasons, and now I should be in the costume, and now we're kind of taking it back to, you don't really deserve to be in the suit. I mean, I just, I feel like we're going really back and forth with that, and I thought maybe the reason we came back to it was this, answering the fans who were complaining about it. That's really how it watched for me. And I don't know, because I don't know how much of this... It's always hard to tell how much feedback they're getting about an episode before they make the next one, because I don't know how many they make out, you know what I mean? But like, it really kind of felt like, okay, people aren't buying that she deserves to be in the suit yet, so that she deserves to be on the street, so we're gonna address it again. And that all that means is that a couple episodes ago, she really wasn't deserving of it yet, wasn't doing it for the right reasons, was lying and pretending like she was, which makes her even more unsympathetic than she was before. And now, once again, just like we did in that episode, she still gets to be in the costume at the end just because that's the status quo now, and she's got the suit, and the producers want her to stay in the suit. So, I mean, yeah, she makes the right choice in finally telling Lance, but it's hard to be real impressed with that, because she should have done that a long time ago. I guess I should be saying all this with jazz hands. But you see what I'm saying? It kind of feels like the same. It's a double beat. It's kind of the same thing again. Do you agree with that, or am I forgetting something wrong? Okay.
I agree with exactly what you're saying, and I know people are going to jump on us and say, well, we should give it time. We should let her build into her own Black Canary status. Here's the problem,
The show's
though.
not doing that.
We gave her a trilogy of episodes. She had nothing but a really, really consistent arc, no matter how badly written it was. She had a really consistent arc last season, and she's got another really consistent arc this season. It's just they're not working. They're making her unsympathetic because, for one, I don't understand what her motivations really mean. I don't think she understands her motivations, and everyone's really confused about when we're dealing with intent and when we're not. When we're working with Malcolm Merlyn, it's a bad thing. When we're using Malcolm Merlyn to kill Ra's al Ghul, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
When we're being Black Canary because it's useful, it's a good thing. When we're being Black Canary because Sarah, because you really miss Sarah, it's a bad thing. And they just keep flip-flopping around. There's no overarching philosophy or no overarching what binds these guys together. What's making any of this really function?
Yeah.
You know?
What's anybody's actual morality and worldview right now? And I've been confused about that. I felt like that's been really ethereal the whole season. Well, Steve, go ahead and finish up. Give us your best moment, worst moment. I guess you kind of did some of that already, and then I'll do a quick spiel and we'll explore this a little bit more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so worst moment, like I said earlier, was Roy, quote-unquote, defending Thea. But best moment was, at the very end, even though this should have happened so much earlier, Paul Blackthorne's reaction to learning Sarah was dead was fantastic.
Yeah.
That actor is great.
And may I add that I'm really glad that he didn't have a heart attack right there, because I expected them to go that far. This season has been that melodramatic. And on the other hand, the only thing that could have possibly sort of vindicated Laurel would have been if that had happened. But then that's still, a whole kind of, almost ends justifies the means, where it's like, see, I told you, if I told him he was going to have a heart attack, and I don't know that feelings necessarily work that way. I mean, he definitely reacted in a way where it's bad enough he could have developed that, but that just would have been so on the nose, right? It'll be really interesting to see if he can pull himself together and actually function after this. I think it would be really interesting potentially to put him in a place where he just can't even function anymore after having lost her twice.
Talk about it at all, right? He says not again. Everyone in the world thinks his daughter's dead. What is he gonna do to let it out?
Oh, that's a great point too. Yeah, because she never got to be. Did she not? Did she never get to be?
She never got to be just normal Sarah. As far as everyone in the world knows, aside from Team Arrow and his family,
she's still
that
dead.
Sarah was alive. So it's not like he can take a leave of absence or anything for his daughter being dead, because according to the books, she's already dead.
Yeah. Is that, there's been a lot of the show, and I've been watching a lot of other shows, and I just couldn't remember if she publicly came back alive or not.
No, not as far as I can remember publicly.
I thought there was a scene where, in just street clothes, she was at the police station or something. But maybe she's just pretending to be somebody else. I don't remember. I gotta go. Sorry, folks. I'm sure we're gonna get inundated with comments where people will remember, and that's why we do this live. Anyway, that's part of why we do this live. Okay, I'll go and throw my 2 cents in really quick. I'm with you. I thought this was a much better episode than last week's. You're right. I mean, I like that Oliver comes in and he's making some sense with everything that's not related to Malcolm. I just still don't get why he thinks this is the only possible recourse, and he also still has I should do some positives, but I also don't get why Oliver seems to do whatever Malcolm says just because he's the one that says it. That has continued to be really funny to me. And you get to the end of the episode, and he has this like really kind of flimsy, like obvious setup just to have a one and done episode next time and keep stretching stuff out where he's like you have to face your greatest fear. That's the only possible way to learn what you need to learn, and that's just set up so we can go back to the island. I do like where we're left at the end, though, where this is probably one of my favorite things about the episode, where at the end of the episode, in the present, we're on the island, and in the past, we're about to go to Starling City. I love that. That's really cool. But anyway, so he, and I'm just excited to get to say that on Arrow right now, because I haven't been liking the season very much, so just to get to say that's really cool. But yeah, so he, he's now going back to the island just because Malcolm tells him to. Anyway, we'll talk about all that here in a minute, because I have a theory about what's going on with some of that.
Well, he's played by John Barrowman, so he's a really hard guy to resist when he tells you to do things.
That's a good point. It's got to be the cleft chin, right? That's what it is. The thing I was most perplexed by is that Thea is suddenly has this giant 180 where she completely hates her father and doesn't trust him at all, or at least doesn't trust him at all, because she was manipulated to be turned against her brother because he's the Arrow. I just did not understand that sudden shift. It seemed based on not nearly enough, and I also don't know why Oliver's not telling her what she was really manipulated to do. Maybe it's, well, we can't possibly work with Malcolm if I told you that, but it feels really awkward that he's not finding somebody to talk to about that, because there's people that know, and he could totally have that conversation with Diggle or someone. And I'm just saying that it feels really funky weird that we're not having that conversation in the show, but also Thea doesn't ask questions. In fact, that's one of the big problems with the season, is that people don't ask questions. Thea should be asking, and I mean, I'm asking this, and I know a lot more than she does. Thea should be asking, why do I have to be involved in this? Right? I mean, just the basic logic tells me that if it were me, and I mean, yeah, she's had training from Malcolm, but if it were me, I'd be like, how come just because Ra's al Ghul is apparently going to come after all of us, I have to go with you guys up against him? I don't understand that. And I don't get that knowing what I know about her. But she doesn't even know that she killed Sarah. In fact, I went back and rewatched the scene where Malcolm, by the way, really conveniently walks in just as his name is being said in that scene. That was kind of a weird entrance. I felt like I was watching a stage play where somebody just walks in. Oh, my ears are burning. And he walks in, and she's suddenly really mad at him. I thought maybe I missed a part where Oliver explained to her that she killed Sarah. It doesn't happen. It's not in the episode. I was really confused by that. So I don't know. That's my worst moment, just because I don't understand it. And also, okay, that's my second worst moment. What my worst moment is, the episode is working really hard to make us like Thea again, and just like Laurel, it's working really hard at that, and then suddenly they're right back where they were at the end. Kind of. I mean, Laurel is still, I guess, not trying to be Sarah, but then she's still going out in the costume just because anyway, whatever. They build up a status quo, they want it, there's no logic, really. But anyway, so Thea takes advantage of a guy she knows likes him just because she's stressed out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't like that. And just to create more drama, since we know that guy is with the League. And by the way, why did we have to stretch that whole thing with that DJ? I mean, not that he got a lot of screen time or whatever, but we introduced that guy 5 episodes ago and he's already dead. Okay, I don't know why. I don't know why he couldn't have been introduced here or last episode or something.
Yeah, that was just wasting a lot of screen time when you go back and rewatch some of those episodes.
Well, and I feel like we're going to go back and look at all the stuff with Thea and Malcolm and feel like a lot of that is really random, wasted screen time, because I felt like it was building towards something, and like he was manipulating her to be somebody, and that didn't really happen. My favorite moment was Malcolm. I'm sorry. My favorite moment was Lance's reaction to finally finding out Sarah is dead. I thought it was just really, really well acted. And also, as you said, Sarah's opening line, because we get 5 seconds into the episode and she's saying everything I feel about Laurel. That is really funny. Also, I think let me just tack this on. I think her saying Dino, Laurel, Lance again, like we got from Tommy in like the first or second, I think it was the pilot. I think that is a clue that she's about to change her name. I think that's going to happen. I've been thinking that for a long time. She's finally becoming Black Canary. They're embracing the comic book thing. They named her Laurel, taking her middle name instead of Dinah for no good reason except just to be different. The show now is more okay with doing comic book stuff and embraces that stuff now. I think, mark my words, Steve, I would almost bet you a Chipotle burrito that she's she's going to change her name to Dinah.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And something with that I think we should also mention is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Last week we complained about how we don't know who knows what, and everything was really confusing with that respect.
Yeah.
Now that Thea knows who Oliver is, at least it clears the air of everybody's secrets for the most part.
Right, but it makes her seem kind of dumb, right?
It totally does. It doesn't work for her character. There's still some really bad stuff with Thea and with Oliver and Malcolm trusting each other and what their issues are.
Yeah.
But at the very least, we know where people stand, at least status quo-wise.
Kind of.
We just don't have any beat on their character.
I mean, kind of. There is still a possibility that we're being told one thing and certain characters are lying about things. Now, I don't think for a minute that Thea is lying about not knowing that Oliver was the heir in the first place, and I don't think that there's like a ruse between her and her dad where they're pretending like she doesn't know that. I wouldn't put it past this show to go there, but now is maybe the time to do this. I have a prediction, Steve.
Okay.
My prediction is, this is what my instincts tell me. Oliver is walking into some sort of a trap with Malcolm, and he's being played as kind of irrational and working with Malcolm just because I can't think of any other reason that they would write him like that, just because they really need to contrive some reason for him to step into this trap, and it's going to be part of a giant, elaborate, really convoluted plot that is part of the big elaborate convoluted plot that got him to fight Ra's al Ghul in the first place. Because that was so ultra weirdly complicated, and it seemed like there were 60 better ways that he could have tried to have taken care of Ra's al Ghul. I don't buy that plot is over with, and I think that there is some kind of bigger elaborate scheme on the horizon.
I certainly hope not. But it's almost like a double-edged sword now, where if it's not that, none of this makes sense. If it is that, none of it's going to make any sense.
That's what I'm worried about. And so, yeah, as we said, this is a better episode, but at the same time, they've written themselves into a place where it's... Until we just have a totally new status quo and get done with this whole arc and probably just kill off Malcolm, I don't think that there's really any salvaging it, even when the writing is a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, they've pretty much neutered that character from what made him so interesting in that first season.
That's what I think.
And it's really hard for us to even vote for him to keep coming back on the show, for him to be a series regular, because there's just nothing more to do with him after you've pretty much made every character completely lose mind of who he was, to the point where I don't even know if he realizes what his motives are now. And it's getting really frustrating. There's points in this episode where it gets to me a little bit because there's still some fun stuff here and there. I think Olaf and Oliver's banter back and forth now that they know their secret, I think that's cute. I think that works.
It is cute.
It's just the moment you put it into context and all of it falls apart.
Well, it's just that it's making me like her again, and then suddenly I don't again, and even as I'm liking her, I'm super suspicious of it, because... So Diggle's got that speech, and by the way, Diggle just is not Diggle anymore. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't think that he is. Diggle's got this speech where he's like, when you tell... Like, he used to be able to read people. I think he's just completely out of touch with everything. Diggle has a speech where he's like, if you tell her, she's going to... she's never going to speak to you again. And I like that it goes the other way. I thought it was played a little heavy-handed. maybe, but I still love the performance a lot. But when he says that, if they had done anything other than what they did, it would have made Thea really reprehend, like, a lot more than she was before somehow, right? Because how many lies and stuff has she told this season about Malcolm, and she's working with a guy who killed all these people and says that he's a good person and everything and is, like, taking his money and just doing all these things that are obviously morally bereft, and yet telling Oliver, no, you got to be okay with it because we're family. And
and I mean, the big caveat to all of that is Thea's upset when she gets her way, when she doesn't get her way, and she's happy when she gets her way.
That's true.
She doesn't care that 503 people die just as long as Malcolm saved her life. And at that point, it's really hard to redeem a character like that.
Yeah.
She's upset with Malcolm because she lied to him, not realizing clearly that Oliver and her having sharing the secret could be dangerous. She's not even thinking about the repercussions of knowing the secret. She's happy because she got her way.
And so when she says, well, you saved all these people, so I don't care that you lied to me because it was warranted, I'm like, well, last episode you seemed to think that it was okay that Malcolm killed them. To a degree, yeah. Ooh, man, I don't know.
There goes everything last season with everyone lying to her. Well, clearly, whether you lied to her or not, she's going to make up her own mind about who she cares about and who she doesn't based on the plot.
Yeah. Curious Low says, can all bets be made Chipotle burritos now? It's much better than money.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh no! Kareem's Lucid Dreams. Cap's wish list. A team-up episode between Laurel as Canary and Cupid. No!
I'll take half of that.
No! Now, if anybody wants to know, did I think Katie Lotz was good here? Yeah. I mean, she didn't get anything to do. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool, we got to see her again. But, I will be very surprised if we don't see her in flashbacks again, though. Because there's still, like, 2.5 years of stuff that she was doing that we've never flashed back to. So, but then at the same time...
seeing some of her training with Ra's al Ghul could be interesting.
You know, if it fits somehow into... Yeah, anyway. So somebody has a handle, Steve, called You Have Failed This Review. And I wonder if that's a reflection on us or just really clever. I like that. I used to be more involved in Arrow, yet with things getting better on Flash, I see myself more excited on Tuesday nights. Fair. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I have kind of the same thing, except I kind of watch all these, you know, after the fact, but, you know, I get more excited for the thing that happens on Tuesday, I suppose. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do some of our categories real quick, and then we'll see if we can answer a few more things. We're going to be overtime on this one again, but there's a lot to talk about with Arrow these days. Okay, so, did you have a favorite quote?
I thought this one was okay just because I like when superhero identities don't work. When Thea says, I felt pretty lame not recognizing my own brother just because he's wearing a hoodie.
Yeah. Yeah, almost like that's kind of funny too, because it's almost like she's it's like all pseudo fourth wall breaking where she's becoming more self-aware, where she's like, why was that? Must have been because some people were writing me to be like that. I hope there's a point later in the season where Oliver's like, why was I working with Malcolm that whole time? Right? I didn't have any quotes for this one. Unusually, I thought that the Daggett pharmaceuticals reference was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
That sound means we should be out of time. We're gonna go for just a couple more minutes. That was cool. Daggett was in there. I wonder if the guy who started that pharmaceutical company is named John or Roland.
Roland.
Yeah. Did you have a trivia question for this episode? I did not, unfortunately.
I've got one. In the comics, because we're dealing with Vertigo, so in the comics, what medical condition is the source of Count Vertigo's powers?
Okay, we'll answer that in just a second. Let me see if I had any more notes I wanted to bring up really quick. I think I talked about the big stuff. Yeah, maybe this is somewhat redundant, but the way the character arc was going with Laurel, the only thing that would have made sense would be for her to put the costume away at the end.
Yeah, or potentially become a villain for a little while because she's going down a darker path, but no one's recognizing it.
Well, I don't know that she is by the end. I don't know that the show wants us to think that she is by the end of this.
No, it doesn't want us to think that, but clearly there's more setup for her to be a bad person than there is for her to be a good person.
I don't know if I agree with that. I really think at the end, she's already had a redemption, and that they're just going to let her be a superhero now because she's already put the suit on and is no longer trying to be. Like, it seems almost like the logic is, as long as she says I'm not trying to be my sister, then it's okay. I don't know if I agree with you, Steve. I don't think they're going to go that way.
Well, no, I know they're not going that way.
Oh, okay.
They clearly think she's a good person, but I mean, like, when you add up everything she's done, it doesn't make her a superhero at all. It makes her more of a villain.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I think it's important. What would we have had to do for you and I, with what was given to us last season, with her addiction and all of that? And by the way, I liked all the stuff that Oliver told her about how she's addicted to this lifestyle now, and that she has an addictive personality. It's more consistent than a lot of other character stuff we've done this season. But let me ask you this: with the way we knew her from last season, I don't mean like first season decent. I actually liked the character Laurel. What would we have had to do for you and I to buy her being the next Canary?
Do 3 Ghosts again.
Okay.
By the end of 3 Ghosts, we got Tommy coming back, telling Oliver that it's okay that he is who he is and he can deal with everything that's happened to him. We needed a thing, and we could have done this with Vertigo, we needed a thing where Laurel gets something from either the back of her mind, because it has to come from her or it doesn't matter. But there needs to be something in the back of the mind that gets pulled to the forefront that tells her, you're saying you're doing all these things, you believe all this, but it's just not true, and you have to realize, based on the person you were, that this isn't working. She needs to have an entire arc or an episode, at the very least, where she's able to admit in herself that she's made a lot of mistakes. Well, and then her being Black Canary is her redeeming herself.
But then the training thing is still flimsy, right? I mean, Oliver had to do it for 5 years, and...
Yeah, and I mean, this is the kind of show where people can just learn archery in, like, 6 months. So I'm okay with that.
What's sad, though, is that it wasn't like that early on.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But you get Roy and you get Malcolm, and they clearly were not training anywhere near as long as Oliver was, and they're still better than him or as good as him in certain respects.
That's true. When we first got Malcolm, I got the sense that there was a possibility that he trained a lot longer. I don't know. Anyway, let's answer some questions really quick. AMC Comics, the only way they could explain Merlin's uncanny persuasive skills is if they make it that he's been using that mind control plant on everyone this season. The problem with that, of course, is that it hasn't worked on everyone, because you've had people that have been like, no, we can't work with him, and then but then all of a sudden some of them, are more okay with it. But like, apparently Felicity is immune, is what I'm saying.
She didn't flip-flop this episode, so I'm okay with Felicity this time.
The writer's quill, I'm so removed from this season, I'm writing my own version of Arrow Season 3. The earlier part of the season had so much more potential. It's so funny, because at one point I did that with some of Smallville. I did do that. I kept season 1 exactly the way it was, and then I rewrote the tornado thing, where Lana actually gets to know that Clark is has superpowers, and then the whole rest of the series is just completely different. Let's see, really quick. Let me see if I can find. There's just so much stuff about other things and just amusing things. Johnny Torch, I don't think Thea cares as much about Malcolm's crimes. Losses hit her hard. She wants family, or at least did before she became angry with Malcolm again this week. Yeah, that's true. But it's once again, I know I'm throwing the word awkward around a lot, but like it just seems like the show can't tell me what exactly it is a lot of the time. I never get enough of, is she damaged like Laurel is? I don't know.
I mean, she seems really happy this whole episode. She seems perfectly sane and zen for most of this season. And then she's doing saying things that are deeply disturbing.
Piccadilly Gringo, Laurel needs to stop wearing the Black Canary suit and that hideous red pantsuit. That was kind of her go-to before this, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you think we'd like her more if she were a blind lawyer? I'm just throwing that out.
Potentially.
Let's see, McCaffrey. Sarah was a better Black Canary, a better character, and Katie Lotz was a better actress, and she was easy on the eyes, too. I agree with everything you just said, absolutely.
Although, to be fair, I think the actress that plays Laurel is serviceable. She's fine. She's done good stuff before. It's just the material she's getting makes her really unlikable.
Let me see if there's anything else here real quick. We are way over time. Johnny Torch, so why does Thea hate Malcolm again? Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, yeah, you can, like, explain it, but it's flimsy.
Yeah, Malcolm lied to her about knowing that Oliver is Green Arrow, but, I mean, I don't know, you can be upset about Malcolm, but you can't be upset about Oliver, both holding the exact same secret.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just don't understand. And the thing is, I don't know, like, cause she's like, oh, you're trying to pit me up against my brother, but, like, that was kind of obvious in the first place, even, like, sort of, right? Like,
yeah.
It seemed like he was kind of trying to pit her up against Oliver to a degree, too, even outside of the costume, kind of.
And is she not upset with the Arrow breaking through her window and trying to interrogate her at Arrow Point?
Well, she mentions that. The only thing she says is, you broke my window, and that was it.
Yeah, but I'm clearly, there's something else there, right? Like, she should be thinking about that a little bit more. Like, why did you possibly think you could do this to me, or something like that?
Yeah, you know? And I mean, like, suddenly she's mad at Malcolm, but you know, she became okay to kind of that, like, he killed a lot of people because, like, I guess his heart was in the right place, but then she doesn't have any reservations about the people that Oliver killed?
Apparently not.
Also, but I guess she wouldn't, because, I don't know. This is not a character that makes sense, and I'm done trying to figure it out right now. Anyway, I don't know. Overall, I mean, I liked it more than I have lately, but the season is just still not on the right track. We were kind of repeating ourselves. So anyway, I should have been jazz-handing more of this review, but more of this discussion. But
a D is better than an F, but it's still not a good grade.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Let the anger and the tomato throwing begin. Steve, do you want to give us the answer to your trivia question?
Yeah. The answer is. Oh, I just lost my note for a second. The answer is Meniere's disease, which gives him a constant state of vertigo.
Meniere.
Yes, it's an actual disease. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly because there are accent marks, and I'm not sure where it's derived from, but it is a little thing.
Well, it's just I was reminded of the producer from Arrow, or I mean from Angel, Tim Meniere, and I was like, oh, is it named after that guy? Oh, I guess it's not. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It is an actual thing. I don't know where it comes from though.
It's not like McGregor syndrome.
No, nothing like that.
All right, well, folks, thanks so much for watching our discussion. Sure hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments. Let us know what you thought about this episode, and we will see you again next week. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Steve Baxi.
And thanks again to our live internet audience. We'll see you again next week.